Hello and welcome to 𝐜𝐭𝐚𝐲 qualifiers. We have the fifth match day. We are in the middle of the international break, but still there are so many options to win money and to enjoy these 2 weeks without club football. Hello, Dani Fisichella. Hello, Alvaro. Let's forget a bit about Serie A, about La Liga, and let's deep into the national team games because, again, we have good games. In this video, we are going to analyze the games we have on Thursday, the 7th of September. So, guys, remember to comment the video with us, to press the like, and to subscribe to our channel. And now let's go on with the show. And also remember that we have an exclusive offer with 1xBet. Just follow the link below, click in the promo code that we have for you, Expedia YouTube, and you can get up to 130%. So for this show, guys, we've chosen only the 4 interesting games that we have on Thursday, and we have to start with the most interesting game, probably France-Ireland, because we are talking about the runners-up of the World Cup, and especially, Dani, because we've seen France winning absolutely every game since that final against Argentina. We have some important team news. No 𝐿𝐭𝐴, who moved to Saudi Arabia, and they are facing Ireland only with 3 points. Ireland, Dani, the question here, I guess, is if we should handicap France, or if we can see France very relaxed, just winning like we saw them against Greece, for instance.
A win for France, and they are mathematically qualified to the next Euros. They kept 4 clean sheets, 4 wins, but in the reverse fixture, Maignan had to rescue them in Dublin. So it was a little bit deceptive, that 1-0 win. France risked it quite a lot. No 𝐿𝐭𝐴, as you mentioned, no Pogba, but apart from that, the same great squad, great players, Mbappé, Griezmann, Giroud, already 4 goals in Serie A, young midfield, but very exciting with Camavinga, 𝐿𝐿, of course. And the question with France is, will they line up with the 3 strikers plus Griezmann, as they did in Dublin? So very, very attacking. They got the job done there. Then they beat 10-man Greece. Only 1-0, though, thanks to Mbappé penalty. So normally in qualifiers, France recently have not been scintillating. Unbeaten in the last 3 at home, but previously lost to Denmark and Croatia in the Nations League at home. No defeats for France in the World Cup qualifiers. Only 3 goals conceded, but they weren't great to watch. And with Ireland, the big question mark, the big curiosity is to see 𝐬𝐭𝐴 Ferguson, who scored 3 goals at the weekend for Brighton, and is the new up-and-coming striker. And let's see, how does he perform? How does he do in a team that's got less technical abilities than Brighton, where the passers of the ball not as good, and can he impact the game as much as he does in the Premier League? Ireland, a little bit of mixed bag, because it's a very young group of players. Many of these players have played in the under-21 with Stephen Kenny, but there are also some veterans. I mean, they recalled Duffy, who now plays for Norwich, which I went to see him play a couple of weeks ago. He looks really good in the Championship, but this is obviously a step up. Recalls for Connolly as well. There is no Seamus Coleman injured. Let's see. I think it all relies on 𝐬𝐭𝐴 Ferguson. And when it comes to the form of Ireland, they've been disappointing so far. Apart from that good performance against France, then they traveled to Greece, lost 2-1, but they were outplayed. The Greeks were much, much better. Only 1 clean sheet for Ireland in the last 7, and that was against Gibraltar. Away, they lost 3 of the last 4. And in the World Cup qualifiers, they didn't do too well. They lost 3-2 away to Serbia, 2-1 away to Portugal. But yeah, all these results come to nothing, because Ireland does need the 3 points here. And I think it's going to be a struggle for them. But I can't trust France too much, but I think they're going to win. So I'm going to put France win and under 3.5 goals together. It's a bit of a bet builder, and you get a good odds, I think, 194. So if France wins 3-0, for example, which is a very good win, you win 194.
Another option, Alvaro, if we are not sure if bet heavy on France with an Asian handicap, even if we saw at the weekend, for instance, Giroud is in form, Mbappé is in form. Another important point is that France have conceded 0 goals, absolutely no goals. So perhaps a win 2-0, making the job 2-0, something like this could be also on the cards.
Yeah, that's interesting, of course. The only thing with the clean sheet, I always use the clean sheet very carefully because I think that sometimes teams don't need to keep a clean sheet. And if France is winning comfortably this game, they wouldn't mind to concede a late goal. So, that's why I'm always very, very worried about that. I think that clean sheets are very good for knockouts, for example, but for qualifiers in which, as I said before, France has it done basically because, as Daniele said, if they win, they're going to get qualified. It's a little bit of a risk. Of course, it makes sense because if you check the defense of France, even 𝐿𝐭𝐴 is back. He didn't play with Liverpool in the weekend, but he could play against the Republic of Ireland. And if you have Pavard, Lucas Hernandez, Theo Hernandez, 𝐿𝐭𝐴, plus midfield with Boubacar Kamara, for example, players who are good holding the ball or defending, well, there is a good chance that you can get a clean sheet, but it's not for me. I prefer some other markets. Like, for example, I think it's interesting the fact that France has scored 9 goals and the fact that France has scored at least 1 goal in their last 8 games. In fact, the last time that they didn't score a goal was against Tunisia in the World Cup, and that was already a long time ago in 2022. So, for example, to have over 2.5 goals in the game is something that I like here. I've got the feeling that Daniele prefers an under, a conservative under. I would prefer an over here. Over 2.5 goals in the games, 173. Also, France has plenty of attacking talent, and the individual market can be very interesting as well. I always back Mbappé to score at home. The thing is that those shots are not ready yet, but really, have a look into them. I guess that they will be in the region of 171, maybe, something like that. I think that would be good money too. And when it comes to the Republic of Ireland, look, they've got a good mix of players, but I don't think that they are going to qualify for the Euros, really, because they are in a very difficult group right now. They have conceded 3 goals in as many games. Ivan Ferguson, 3 goals in the weekend, is definitely the biggest star, but then the other players, they are not up to the level of the young striker of Brighton and Hove Albion. So, I can also back France to win the second half. The money is there, actually, because France winning the game is about 130. France winning the second half in this game, 157. I like this one a lot.
Well, this is Group B. I think we can check now the standings with France 12 points, the Republic of Ireland only with 3 games played, 3 less than Greece, and we are going to analyze in a bit actually the Netherlands-Greece, very important game for this group. When I think about France-Ireland, we haven't commented it, but in my mind is always Thierry Henry handball. It was already a long time ago, but my mind goes to that time. Well, if there are 3 goals in the game, you both win your tips. Actually, let's see if France wins. I think we take this for granted, and how many goals they score, how serious they take this game. Ireland, by the way, their only victory was against Gibraltar, so it was also taken for granted. Again, in this group, the most important game is gonna be played in Eindhoven, and I'm talking about Netherlands-Greece. We have Netherlands really favorite with 1.5, but I'm not sure, Alvaro, if we should trust these Netherlands. We saw a very poor team in the Nations League Final Four. Even if they played at home, this team is not taking off with Koeman on the bench, because we saw them after the World Cup also getting 4 against France. Their only victory came against Gibraltar. So again, Alvaro, you are very close to Greece. So could Greece disappoint Netherlands and get a point, at least here in Eindhoven?
I mean, Greece is in a good moment, and Netherlands is going through a difficult period. In fact, after the Nations League, Ronald Koeman admitted that he wasn't able to communicate his ideas to the players. And this is probably the biggest mistake that a manager can make, because normally big managers, they communicate and they persuade the players about their style. And Ronald Koeman admitted that he couldn't do it during the Nations League. I remember that the games weren't easy, obviously, for the Netherlands, but they lost to Croatia after the extra time, and then they lost 3-2 to Italy in the bronze medal match, as they call it now. But, there is a good pool of talent in the Netherlands. I believe that, the defense relies on experience and very high competence of very good individuals. Dumfries from Inter, Virgil van Dijk, Nathan Ake, that's fine, I believe. Then the attacking line relies a lot on young players who are doing well so far this season. 𝐜𝐭𝐚𝐲 hasn't scored for Liverpool, but he has started games. And Xavi Simons, for me, he is one of the big names of the Bundesliga right now. He has scored already 2 goals in the Bundesliga. Last season, he scored over 15 in the Netherlands, and he's playing football really well. He scored a beautiful, he assisted a really nice goal to 𝐜𝐭𝐴, I believe, this weekend as well, and he's playing really good football. One player who is missing, and one player who is normally a guarantee of goal scoring for the Netherlands, at least when they play at home, is Memphis Depay. The funny thing is that Memphis, he has scored already 44 goals with the Netherlands. If he scores 7 more, I think he's going to be the all-time goal scorer of the Netherlands, Memphis Depay. But he's not there. And in the squad, they've got Virgil van Dijk, Gakpo, and Dumfries. All of them have scored 6 goals, and they are the highest scoring players of that squad. So goals don't come easy for the Netherlands right now. They are playing against Greece, who are a decent defense, and they have 6 points right now. Let me tell you that Greece is called the 𝐿𝐿 in the same way that Spain is called La Roja. Well, there you go, a little bit of inside information. The stars are, we know them. Vlachodimos, we just signed for Nottingham Forest, Mavropanos, Tsimikas, even George Baldock is there, the player from Sheffield United who could switch allegiance and choose to play for Greece. And there are a few controversial absences that people don't like, but since Greece is doing well, they cannot criticize them too much. One of them is Constantelias, and the other one is Dubikas, the player who signed for Celta for 11 million euro, and last season he was the top scorer of the Eredivisie. Look, the danger for Greece is Bakasetas, Masouras. They have scored 2 goals each. They have done very well in the qualification so far, and I think they have a chance of getting something from this game. A slight chance, but a chance. And if they qualify for the Euro, it will be a huge success considering the group they have. So, if I check the odds here, if you want to back Netherlands to win, them winning 147 is about right. It's about right. But maybe you have to handicap them a little bit and choose a Netherlands to win, Asian handicap -1. Maybe that would be a good idea. I also like the draw at 30 minutes. I like this one very much, and I tell you why. Because I think that Greece is a good defensive setup, and the Netherlands, as I said before, are not scoring easily, especially when Memphis is not on the pitch. So a draw at 30 minutes, 173. And of course, the defense of the Netherlands is fantastic. In the same way that we praise France for this, we have to praise the Netherlands if they play with the preferred lineup. A clean sheet for the Netherlands will be 205. But as I said before, in international football, I'm not a massive fan of going for that.
There might be some ghosts in the Netherlands, Dani, because we have to remember that they had a good World Cup in Qatar, but they missed a couple of big tournaments recently, and this might be in the fans for sure heads going to this key game. We have to remember also that Netherlands have played only 2 games, so they have 1 game in hand.
I'm not sure the defense of Netherlands is that good. Only 2 clean sheets kept in the last 8 games against Qatar and Gibraltar. Virgil van Dijk doesn't seem to me the same player since he had the injury. He's lost a little bit there. Matthias de Ligt doesn't get a game for Bayern, hasn't started in the last 3. They got Timber out for injury. Dumfries is a good wing-back going forward, defending, has still got a little bit of concern. And then the Netherlands don't have a world-class goalkeeper. Probably Greece have got a better goalkeeper. Well, for sure they got a better goalkeeper in Papadimos. I don't see Netherlands being so strong defensively. They do have good holding midfielders. They do have defensive midfielders. Of course, De Jong sometimes can play in the three, but I don't see a very strong lineup at the back. But at home, normally they're very good. They were unbeaten in the Nations League group. They were unbeaten in the World Cup qualifiers. They conceded 7 in the Nations League finals, by the way. So obviously you need to favor them a little bit. When it comes to Greece, only 1 defeat in the last 5. They lost away to France, Sweden, Montenegro recently, but drew 1-1 with Spain in the World Cup qualifiers long time ago. They are not a great scoring side. In the World Cup qualifiers, they only scored 8 goals in 8 matches. Had they had a little bit more goal scoring prowess, probably they could have finished above Sweden. But as we mentioned before, did really well against Ireland, could have scored more. Something interesting about them, the most games recently, especially under 𝐬𝐭𝐴, been under 15 games played between March 2021 and September 2023. 13 of them have been under 2.5 goals, only scored 3 against Gibraltar. The rest was always under goals. So, you know, the under could be in the card, and maybe they're gonna be undone by the odd goal. But yeah, I mean, as Alvaro mentioned before, yeah, the absence of Depay, I think is significant for the Netherlands. I think Greece could nick a goal because I don't trust too much Netherlands defense. And I'm gonna go for an over here, over 2.5 goals, 186.
Only one, very quickly, I can understand what Daniele says. I think that when it comes to the Netherlands, it is the individuals in defense what stand out over the collective unit. I still believe that 𝐬𝐭𝐴 can be also considered a very important defender for the team. And regarding the goalkeeper, I'm not an expert in goalkeepers, okay? And I am the last one to realize how good the goalkeeper is. But the Brighton new goalkeeper, who plays for the Netherlands as well, Bart Verbruggen, he looks very good. And he's only 21 years old. Really, we have to follow this guy.
Well, a couple of new names actually called by Koeman, also from the Premier League. Mickey van den Ven and Ian Madsen will be in the list. Let's jump and go to another group. We have more interesting games in this Thursday in Group G. We have the 2 leaders face to face. It will be a big surprise if none or one of these teams is not in the Euros. I'm talking about Serbia and Hungary, even if Serbia had problems in the past to qualify for the Euros, but both teams have 7 points, 3 more than Montenegro and 5 more than Bulgaria. So they are meeting on Thursday with Serbia as really favorites. Odds are 1.83 for them to win, but Hungary, they've been very good when they play as the underdog. We've seen recently in the last 4 years actually competing really well against top teams in this group. They beat Bulgaria, they beat Lithuania without conceding. They got a draw, also goalless draw against Montenegro, so they haven't conceded goals in this road to the Euros. And Serbia, Dani, also same points because they drop points against Bulgaria. How do you see this game? Perhaps a low scoring one?
No, I go for a high scoring one, but the odds are good, and we're gonna go into it. I think who wins this group goes. Who wins this group goes through, okay, to the Euros. But it is a very weak group, this one, because it got Montenegro, Bulgaria, Lithuania. So, you know, they were handed a favorable draw, really. Serbia have been decent so far, although against Bulgaria in the last game, they were about to lose and they were rescued by Lazovic in stoppage time, and Bulgaria has not been great recently. Look, the question mark with Serbia is how are they going to do this time that their 2 main men, Milinkovic-Savic and Mitrovic, now play in Saudi Arabia? Has it affected this game a little bit? Are they going to be slightly less fit? I think this is going to be a question mark. But Vlahovic is in good form. He scored 3 in the qualifiers, scored 3 in Serie A, and he returns to the squad. The numbers of Vlahovic are really good with Serbia. 13 goals in 21 appearances. And I do believe the more balls, the more crosses he's going to get given, the more he will score. Sometimes the problem will be is with Juventus, doesn't get the right services. It is a Serbia team that has got a lot of Italian players. There are up to 10, and some of them used to play in Italy. Stand out Samardžić, Ilić from Torino. They got good quality midfield from Gudeli to Tadic, now plays for Fenerbahce, had a good start of the season. 𝐿𝐵 back in the Juventus starting 11s. Maybe they haven't got a great defense. The biggest better defense is Pavlovic of Salzburg, which I think is a little bit clunky sometimes. And normally they play with a back three, with Gudeli dropping down as a center back. They're unbeaten in 5, only lost 1 of the last 7, Serbia, in that crazy game against Switzerland in the World Cup. Only 1 defeat at home in the last 13 games for Serbia. So it's very difficult to go and win there. In March 2022, they beat Hungary 1-0 in a friendly. They won their Nations League group, Serbia. So regardless of how this group goes, they're going to be in the playoff. And I think that's why this game is going to be open, because Serbia, in a way, haven't got much to lose. Even if they finish seconds, they're probably going to go in the play. They're going to be in the playoff. Same goes with Hungary, because Hungary finished second in the group with behind Italy in the Nations League. Now, if Italy hopefully manages to finish in the top 2 in the group with Hungary and North Macedonia, but you never know, then Italy is going to qualify and Hungary is going to go automatically to the playoff. So this could be a very, very open game for a Hungary side that away from home, they've been decent, unbeaten in the last 3 away from home, won in England, drew in Germany, also recently won in Northern Ireland, in Poland. In the last World Cup qualifiers, score at Wembley, 1-1 against England. And, they got, you saw 𝐬𝐭𝐴 when he's fit, you saw it for Liverpool, immediate impact in the Liverpool side. Then they haven't had him for a long time last season because he's been injured. So Orban plays for Leipzig, 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜𝐭𝐿 plays for Bournemouth. You got a lot of good quality, a lot of good players there, plus the ones I mentioned for Serbia before. I think they're going to be goals. And you look at over 2.25 goals, 207. How good is that? Only 2 goals in the game, you lose half a stake, but more than 2 goals, you more than double your stake, I think, is the one to go for.
𝐿𝐵, who scored his first goal in the Premier League with Liverpool at the weekend. We have to say that between these 2 teams, they've only conceded 1 goal in this road to the Euros. But as Dani mentioned before, Alvaro, they had a very easy group, both teams, Serbia and Hungary.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that even a draw could be kind of satisfying for both sides in a way. Obviously, if you play in Belgrade in the Stadion Ratio Mitic, you want to win. But, I think that if they draw this game, both Hungary and Serbia will realize soon that the draw wasn't too bad for them. Look, the goals market is the difference maker here. I think that everything looks good to me. I mean, both teams to score is 216. This is an outstanding figure, and both teams have quality up front, especially, I would say, the Serbians. But, you can also go for over 2 goals, for example. 170 is good enough already, over 2 goals. Or, combinations, perhaps, like over 2 goals plus an Asian handicap plus 0.75 for Hungary. Altogether, that gives you over 3. The truth is that here, the bookies consider Serbia extremely favorite. I'm not too sure about that, though. I think that Serbia has really good footballers. Dusan Vlahovic, in fact, is one of the good scorers of this Euro qualifying campaign. He has scored 3 already. I never understood the critics on this player, because even when he's having a bad time, he's capable of scoring any time. He's very dominant up front in the opponent's box. And on top of that, let's see how Mitrovic is, because he's in the squad as well. And if Vlahovic and Mitrovic play together, Mitrovic in Saudi Arabia, well, any corner, any set piece is an opportunity to score. And the players are really good for Serbia. I mean, they were in the World Cup. I think they were competitive in the World Cup. Not enough, but at least at times they showed how competitive and robust and rocky they can be with Gudeli, with 𝐿𝐵, who is not enjoying a good moment right now, Maksimovic and so on. Even Milinkovic-Savic, a player who left Lazio to play in Saudi Arabia as well. The squad is there. And the team of Serbia and the team of Hungary, they do something, or they have done something that puzzled me a little bit when I look at the cold data. But then I realized, of course, the group is so easy that it makes sense. The fact is that these 2 sides are some of the best in possession in the overall stats, because they've got the In the case of Serbia, it would be the 6th best possession rate, 61%. And in the case of Hungary, it's the 5th best possession rate, 62.7%. But of course, I would take this with a pinch of salt because the opponents haven't been too good. When it comes to the Hungarians, look, 𝐜𝐵 is playing really well for Liverpool. 𝐻𝐞𝐿 has been fantastic so far. He has scored already in this qualifying campaign. And, he is the real menacing figure of Liverpool's midfielder. He scored a beautiful goal the other day with the left foot, and I have no reasons to doubt this player. But generally speaking, Hungary, more than 𝐜𝐵, is also a team effort. I think they are very rocky as well. There are 5 players who have scored 1 goal each, and some of them are pretty decent. 𝐾𝐿 is playing for Bournemouth, a lot of football. 𝐜𝐵, as I said, he's making a difference. Salai is a very good footballer too. They haven't conceded a single goal. So, this game is, for me, one of those games in which I think that both sides, if they think about it carefully, they will see that a draw is good. All that said, I'm going to back what I said before. Over 2 goals, 170. And maybe an icing handicap plus 0.75 for Hungary. This is excellent. It pays 185.
Yeah.
All right, let's go for goals then. In this Serbia-Hungary, in this group, we also have an interesting game between Lithuania and Montenegro. Montenegro really favorite, but it's going to be very difficult for Montenegro to reach to the second spot. And we have one more game to analyze in Group H. We have an interesting Kazakhstan-Finland, I have to say. Both teams with 9 points, and Finland really favorite to win in Kazakhstan, but perhaps there are issues there. But we are going to focus on the Slovenia-Northern Ireland that we have a bit later, because Slovenia is rowing to get into the second spot in this group. We also have Denmark involved, so it's very open actually, and very interesting, this Group H with Slovenia, Northern Ireland. Alvaro, we have Slovenia with odds 1.92. It's not easy to win also in this Balkan country. They even got a surprising draw, we have to say, against Denmark, and beat Kazakhstan, for instance, not that far. Norway or Serbia traveled to Ljubljana and couldn't get the 3 points. And Northern Ireland, they are absolutely out of the race for the Euros, lost to Kazakhstan, Denmark, Finland. All games finished 1-0 actually with the defeat. What do you expect in this game?
Well, I've got my odds chosen, obviously, but this game I find it a little bit difficult. But there is one hint that I don't know if Daniele has also spotted, but it's the fact that Slovenia only beat San Marino 2-0. That tells you that this is a side that even when it's doing well, they don't have the scoring threat of some other European counterparts. And I think that this could be one of the key hints to understand how this game can roll out. I explain myself. I think that they can beat Northern Ireland because right now they are doing better. In fact, this Thursday is an excellent opportunity for Slovenia to capitalize on that game between Kazakhstan and Finland, because they are playing against each other. But I think that maybe if Slovenia wins, they are not going to win heavily. That's why, for example, an Asian handicap plus 0.75 for Northern Ireland, which pays 170, can be a very good odds. I repeat again, Slovenia could only score 2 goals against San Marino. They are not great scorers. All that said, they have profited the tight margins very well. It's incredible, really, because if you look at their numbers, they have scored 5, they have conceded 4, and they got 7 points. It's a very good booty. You look at Northern Ireland, and they are right the opposite. They have conceded 3, they have scored 2, and they got only 3 points. Michael O'Neill's side, so far, Slovenia is profiting all those tight margins, tight spaces, tight moments. They are doing it so well. The best players, obviously, we know them. Jan Oblak in goal, and Benjamin Šeško scoring goals for RB Leipzig up front. Šeško has scored 1 goal already in the qualifiers, and then Čerin has given 2 assists in the qualifiers as well. I think that they can do it, and this is a great chance again for Slovenia because they can capitalize on the other game, which will happen in Kazakhstan, and then their next game is against San Marino as well. So if they come out with 6 points out of this month of September, it's going to be a massive success for them. When it comes to Northern Ireland, look, really poor so far. As I said before, they haven't been able to profit the tight games. There are 8 changes between the list of June and this one. Stuart Dallas and Stephen Davis are injured. Johnny Evans is going to be in the squad. He played a little bit against Arsenal the other day on Sunday, but Johnny Evans, is obviously in the wrong side of almost in the wrong side of the 30s. And, I don't know who I would trust in the Northern Ireland to make the difference. Maybe Dion Charles, who has scored 2 goals, the player for Bolton, or maybe C. Charles from Southampton, who has had 26 ball recoveries in the group. But still, I believe that this is a game for Slovenia. So, for example, Asian handicap plus 0.75 for Northern Ireland, 170. And I like this one a lot. First half draw, 2.0. But if you want to think that you can squeeze more money for this game, there is a market opportunity here that you should at least think of. First team to score, Northern Ireland, 3.0. I mean, if you trust them a little bit, the money is there.
I'm started to think that I'm also in the wrong side of the 30s, Alvaro. I hope not. And Dani, how do you see this Slovenia Northern Ireland? We have to say that Northern Ireland also beat San Marino only 2-0. So perhaps it's San Marino doing well even.
No, well, we don't know. We'll find out when they play Denmark this weekend. Well, if it can be any consolation, I'm nearly in the good side of 40s. So there is always, you have to look on the bright side. Well,
Slovenia, not like me. Who is I'm 27 still.
Yeah, exactly. But you look very young for a 27. Won't pay your compliment.
Life is hard, Daniele.
I know, I can imagine. But life is good for Slovenia, who never came so close to qualify since 2010 when they went to the World Cup. They only qualified once for the Euros in 2000, and that tells you how difficult they had it. Yeah, exactly. And a famous game against Spain. I mean, of all the former Yugoslavian nations, one of the smallest, Slovenia, probably one of the less blessed with a talent pool. And now they're having a good generation of the players that we mentioned before. But yes, they find it hard to win games, to score. They lost only one in the last 10 against Finland. They drew with Denmark, beat Montenegro and Romania. So obviously they are very competitive within their league. They are a decent side, enriched by Bihole Lovric, who play for Udinese as well. Not too long ago, they beat Croatia 1-0. But they didn't qualify for the World Cup. So they had to be really careful with them. This is a very level group because each team at least has lost a game. So it's very, very open. And obviously that defeat of Denmark against Kazakhstan opened up everything in terms of qualification. Northern Ireland, they are winless in 6 games away from home, excluding when they beat San Marino and Luxembourg, which they are a given. This second spell in charge for Martin O'Neill is a bit difficult. They qualified for Euro 2016 with Martin O'Neill in charge. They were really strong at home, difficult to beat when teams travel to Windsor Park. Is not quite happening. In the Nations League group, Northern Ireland only won 1 game, and they were in the group with Greece, Kosovo, and Cyprus. So you can tell really they have dropped down a level. Alvaro talked about the absentees. It's been a learning curve for them, these qualifiers, too many injuries. Also a little bit unlucky, I must say, because when they played in Copenhagen a couple of months ago, they had an equalizer ruled out in the last minute of the game by VAR that was quite shocking. It should have counted. So there are also some factors that have not gone their way. But let's face it, they don't score many goals. Maybe a draw here. It's nice. I mean, there are nice odds for a draw, but perhaps for a double chance. 𝐿2, that pays 2, considering Slovenia are not such a great force. And sometimes things could go Northern Ireland way. So maybe they come out with a draw. You play at 𝐿2, pays well, and that pays 2.
Maybe it's also a low scoring game. Northern Ireland, 2 goals scored, 3 goals conceded in this group. As you said, Dani, is very open. We have a Denmark San Marino that we are not going to analyze. If you back San Marino, odds are 111. So you put €10 and you can get 1,010 euros. We are going to have a video with Leo Bachanian about the CONMEBOL qualifiers for the World Cup already. They've started, and I was checking Brazil-Bolivia has similar odds. If you want to bet on Bolivia or on San Marino, you are
In Brazil.
In Brazil, yeah, they play in Brazil.
Yeah, okay.
So it pays around 1.02 for Denmark or for Brazil to win at home. Those games, but there is no value on that, of course. Let's see which one is your best bet among these games on Thursday, Dani, Fisichella?
France to beat Ireland, 133.
And Alvaro?
Poland to win the second half against the Faroe Islands, 135.
Okay, by the way, we are going to have another video analyzing the games in the Euro qualifiers for Friday and Saturday, of course, so stay tuned, and we still can make an ACCA. There are around 10 games on Thursday for official games for the Euro. Alvaro, tell me your ACCA.
Yeah, very quickly before anything, Edu, let's don't forget that the individuals market will be open soon. 𝐿𝐭𝐴 to score for the Danish could be fantastic, by the way. I haven't said this, but I'm saying this now. My ACCA is Asian handicap -1 for France, Netherlands to win, Poland to win the second half against Faroe Islands, and an Asian handicap -1.5 for Poland. Altogether 417.
Hey, indeed, we have the Faroe Islands making a great job in the Champions League and in the Europa League, the Faroe Island champions, so perhaps they can do something against Poland. And Dani, your ACCA?
Montenegro Asian handicap 0.25 when they travel to Lithuania. Netherlands, Greece over 1.5 goals. Denmark, Asian handicap -3.5 at home to San Marino. And Poland, Asian handicap -1.5 against Faroe Island, which pays really well, by the way. This one individually is 148. Total odds 455.
Okay, let's see, because Lewandowski is not playing great for Barcelona. Let's see if he can score a couple of goals against the Faroe Island. Well, Dani, Alvaro, our dream team is back to analyze with us the Euros, so stay tuned for our next videos about the Euros. And in the meantime, of course, leave your comments, press the like, subscribe, and see you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.